Hey everybody, welcome back to Gideon Stuff. Today we're taking a look at this knife right here. I don't really know what to call this. I'm going to be calling this the Ozark Trail Scepter knife, and we'll explain why in a little bit. Ozark Trail does not give names to their knives, and there's no model number on this thing either. If there was on the packaging, I threw the packaging away a long time ago, so I missed out on that. And if you go to like Walmart's website and you try finding knives, every single Ozark Trail knife is just labeled 7-inch folding knife with polypropylene handles and stainless steel blade. All of them. So that's really annoying, but I have seen these floating around at Walmart's in store, so if you're interested in one, try your local Walmart, and if all else fails, try the Walmart site. Look up Ozark Trail knives and see what you come up with. Although I will also say that the Walmart site is kind of a pain in the butt when it comes to looking things up. Anyways, I've had this knife for a while, and it's finally time to do the review. So let's go ahead and jump right in. Start off with a blade length measurement. We're coming in here, sharpened edge, just barely under 3 inches. If we measure all the way to the scales, we're at basically 3 inches exactly, which I think every single Ozark Trail folding knife is within this size. I guess it makes it convenient for them with their packaging. All right, let's do our size comparisons. There is the Rat 1, and here's the Rat 2. Very similar in size to the Rat 2. Very, very similar in size. Okay, let's go ahead and grab our Civivis. Here's the Elementum. Again, similar in size. Also, somewhat similar blade profiles. Here's the Praxis. Let's go ahead and grab our USA made comparisons. There's the PM2. And there's the Bug Out. Alrighty. Good deal. Now, one more knife I want to compare against this thing is, of course, the Sin-Cut Scepter. There is more than a passing resemblance here. These knives are very, very similar. Tomorrow I'm going to have a video discussing the ethics of design borrowing in the knife world using these two knives as an example. But yeah, they do size up rather nicely together. So there you go. Alrighty, what are we looking at here for our materials? Well, we have, like all Ozark Trail knives, a presumably stainless steel blade, plastic scales, steel pocket clips, steel liners. The blade steel, we don't know exactly what it is, and this thing is a crossbar lock. So, there we go. Let's go do the cutting footage. Hey everybody, we're doing the review cutting for the Ozark Trail Scepter. I don't know what to call this knife. It doesn't have a real name. It's the whatever the heck this is, right? So Ozark Trail Scepter is what I'm calling it. Let's go ahead and start by talking about the action. So crossbar lock with 2 means of deployment, flipper and thumb stud. I guess 3 means, because with all crossbar locks you can, flick them out with the crossbar. So you can do that. Thumb studs work really, really nicely for the thumb. They work nicely for the reverse flick, and the flipper tab does work, which is not the easiest thing to do with the crossbar lock. Getting a flipper tab to work for the crossbar lock can be tricky, but hey, Ozark Trail did it, so good job to them. Overall, the action is good. Is it amazing? Compared to some other knives I reviewed, no. But for a $5 knife that's a crossbar lock, yeah, it's amazing. All right, ergonomics. Very clean ergonomic lines, very similar to the Sin-Cut Scepter. There you go. I can barely get a 4-finger grip on here, but it is comfortable. Again, neutral. Yeah, it works out in the hand fairly well. I can feel the clip, but it's not terrible. Speaking of the clip, how does this thing carry? We do have a tip-up carry, deep carry clip that is reversible. They remembered the lefties, and that makes this a completely ambidextrous knife. Good job, Sin-Cut. That's really awesome. The clip is inset. The screws are not flat, but you know what? They're not that prominent. Let's go ahead and see it in the pocket here. Yeah, the knife is lightweight, takes up, barely any room at all. The clip climbs over your pants really nicely, goes all the way in. It's a good clip. This knife carries very, very well, so I don't really have a whole lot of complaints there. Let's go ahead and do some cutting. So we have a nice spear point blade here made of who the heck knows what kind of steel. Whoops. But it is pretty slicey. It's a thin blade, and it does have a hollow grind, which is kind of cool. And because it is a spear point, utility cuts you can get to with no problem whatsoever. So, good deal. Good deal. Let's go ahead and do our rope pull. Nice. What? Wow. 2, 3. Holy cow. So before I start filming this, I did the review cutting for the Kaiser Amicus. Both of those knives did really, really well in the rope push. Having that belly out there that you can really get, some leverage behind absolutely helps. So good job to those 2 knives. All right, pool noodle time. This is probably going to be the last video for Mr. Orange here. 1, 2, 3. And I guess we'll keep that chunk just in case. And that actually felt really, really nice going through there. Very consistent. I went a little bit fat on that one. This one came out a whole lot better. But honestly, that did really, really nicely. For a $5 knife, there's really not a whole lot to cry about. That's great performance in my book. At $5, that's exactly what you want to see. So good job, Ozark Trail. All right, let's go ahead and get back to the table. Alrighty, let's go ahead and talk about what I'm liking and not liking about this little Ozark Trail knife. Number 1, this is a very good EDC design. It might be borrowed, but it's a very good EDC design. The spear point blade is very, very useful. You can get to your utility cuts. You can do some good slicing. The ergonomics on this thing are pretty solid. They're very neutral. The knife itself, it has a little bit of girth to it. But yeah, it's just a very easy knife to use. And I think that's really, really great. The blade here does have a hollow grind, and it's a decently thin blade. So the slicing performance is actually not bad. Now, the hollow grind is not the deepest hollow grind ever. It's a little bit shallow, but again, the blade stock is pretty thin, so it works out. Next thing, this crossbar lock actually works really well. And believe it or not, this thing is running on Teflon washers. Teflon washers, and they were able to get the action dialed. Especially a flipper tab crossbar lock combination. That is not an easy thing to do, especially with Teflon. So that's actually really, really impressive. The crossbar lock itself works good. It functions well. It feels like it's got nice solid lockup. This thing is incredibly solid, almost vault-like. I'm really, really impressed with that. And overall, good job, Ozark Trail. They made a really, really decent crossbar lock. Fit and finish on this thing is also really, really nice. You can see here it's perfectly centered. For a $5 knife, that's really, really cool. Next thing, this is a completely ambidextrous knife. They do give you a reversible clip. You can flip this clip over to this side. And in my mind, that's kind of game over for a lot of companies. There are still major knife companies that are making knives with ambi-friendly locks that will not give us a reversible clip. I don't know why. It seems like a no-brainer. It seems like an easy way to make 10% of the population very, very happy, but they don't do it. Ozark Trail is doing it, and I think it kind of puts those other companies to shame. So, there's really no excuse, right? But yeah, reversible clip, and the clip itself works pretty well. It's inset to the scales. The screws are button screws, but you got plenty of clearance under there, so in and out of the pocket it works just fine. These thumb studs work really, really well. They're pretty comfortable. I just cannot believe how good this action is on Teflon washers. It's really, really impressive. I cannot say that enough. So there we go. And that's kind of all of my positives, which might not seem like a lot, but considering this is a $5 knife, it's a heck of a lot of positives. The ergonomics work. The blade works. The action is good. They have a reversible clip. These are all very basic parts of a knife. These are very basic fundamental functions of a modern day folding knife, and they nailed it at $5. So that's really worth a lot of praise, and I think it's a really, really great thing. This knife is not necessarily doing anything spectacular or out there or innovative, but what it's doing well, and that's very, very cool. All right, let's go ahead and get into some negatives. Number one, Ozark Trail hardware sucks. I know you will strip out these screws. These screws are free spinning. Disassembly on this thing is going to be a nightmare. It is a crossbar lock, which are already pains in the butt to take apart. But yeah, Ozark Trail hardware really, really sucks. For $5, why would you expect it to not? But it sucks. Next thing, I kind of hate the finish on this blade. It's, at first I kind of thought I liked it. It's like, oh, kind of a stonewash, but I don't know. I think it just, Ozark Trail can do a really, really nice, like kind of a polished stonewash. I wish they'd done that here. I just don't really like this kind of gray stonewash finish here. It's just not for me. It might be for you, but it's not for me. Other things to complain about, like, you know, I could complain that, oh, there's not jimping on the blade, there's no jimping on the flipper tab. You know, oh, the edges are, you know, a little bit unrefined. The clip I can feel in my hand. The sharpening was not done well out of the box. I mean, look how uneven the sharpening job is. Look how wide the bevel is there, and look how narrow it is there. But $5. And that price makes it hard to complain about anything. I could complain that it seems to be a borrowed design, but I'm not going to. Spoiler alert for tomorrow's video. I don't really think it's a huge issue to take inspiration from another knife, and they did do enough different with this thing that's not, you know, an outright copy. It's definitely inspiration, a very, very heavy inspiration, but I can look past that, right? It might be a bigger deal for you, and that's okay. But really, that's all there is to complain about. At the end of the day, we have a $5 knife that does everything a pocket knife should do, and it does it well. And actually, it does even go a little bit extra. It goes a little bit further than expected with the crossbar lock. It's a really, really nice feature. Do I recommend this knife? Yes, I absolutely do. And I think this is a great knife for people who are low on a budget, or maybe a knife for a kid, get them kind of into, you know, knives like this. It's a great knife to learn how to sharpen on because the steel is going to be soft as paper. I've always been a big fan of Ozark Trail. I carried a lot of Ozark Trail knives when I was a teenager, and if I had had this knife when I was a teenager, it would have completely changed the way I looked at pocket knives. This would have completely rocked my world, and I'm just glad it exists. It's a very, very cool knife, very cool concept. Yes, I recommend it. This is the best $5 knife you can buy. I'm going to say that right now. This is the best knife a $5 bill can get you. So, yeah, there you go. Is it going to be for everybody? No. And if you only collect Reats, you're probably not going to be interested in this. But if you're someone that, like me, who really enjoys seeing quality products at bargain bin prices, I think you'll get a kick out of this. So, there we go. That's it for today's video, guys. Thank you so much for watching. If you enjoyed this video, leave it a like, comment below, and subscribe. You guys know how this works. Also want to give a shout out to my channel members. This is the first video I'm filming since launching memberships, so this is really, really fun to do. But our member at the cowboy level is Old Tonto Guy. Thank you very, very much, Old Tonto Guy. I really appreciate it. And if you want to become a member, click the join button below this video. Anyways, I'm done talking. I will see you guys in the next video. Adios.